to have him. General, thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us again. How are you?
Pleasure is mine. I'm doing very well. Life and kicking.
Yes. Well, what have you been up to? The last time you were here is exactly a year ago. That's in June. So this is just a month apart. What have you been in the last year?
That was the time I was preparing to embark on my thank you tour. And I've since concluded the thank you tour. So I've been advised that, I should go slow on these media interviews because the work of a spokesperson is that of a general secretary. And since I have a very competent general secretary, I choose to leave those things to him. So it's not because I'm discriminating against you. I have not been going to television studios.
I noticed, yes.
Yes.
I noticed. And so I'm delighted that you decided to talk to us when you make the decision. You are the chairman, so of course, the party, everything as far as the party is concerned is your responsibility. Yeah. You're embarking on a very important organization of the party to retain power. Yeah. I know you started with the branch level elections. Sure. How is that going?
It's been fantastic. We just concluded the branch elections. Of course, after every phase of the elections, there are a few challenges, isolated challenges across the country. So we are preparing to go and deal with those isolated challenges. I'm sure within the next 2 weeks, we will be done completely with the branch elections. And then we prepare to open nominations for constituency elections somewhere in September, and the elections proper will come on by getting to the end of October. Then when we are done with that, we'll then prepare and conduct the regional elections in November. And then in December, we do the
national elections.
Yes.
So that's for the General Secretary, the National Chairman, everybody. Will that then conclude the organization of the party?
Sure, that will conclude the internal party leadership elections.
Okay.
In every party, you have 2 sets of elections. One set is that is conducted to elect leadership of the party from branch to national. Then, when we enter next year, the second set of elections will be electing candidates that you are going to sell during the general elections. Okay. So there are 2 sets of elections.
Presidential, but also parliamentary?
Presidential and parliamentary primaries. And that one is the subject of the Supreme Court ruling. The ones we are engaged in now are not affected by the Supreme Court ruling, because that is the party as a group deciding how they will select their leadership. So it has nothing to do with the rest of the population. I believe the people who went to Supreme Court were motivated by the fact that even though the presidential and parliamentary primaries start within the party, the product becomes national officers. So if you elect a candidate for presidential and he eventually becomes the president of the republic, he becomes president for everybody. The same way, if you elect a parliamentary candidate and then he gets elected by the general population, he becomes a statesman for the whole country. So the argument was that if that election is going to result in electing statesmen for the whole country, then you must try and make the beginning as democratic as possible. That's why they sought the intervention of the Supreme Court to make sure that at least every member...
You support that position of the Supreme Court?
Well, we have no option. But let me say that it is an experiment NDC had done before. NDC was the first party to go into this universal membership suffrage in 2014. We did it successfully, but there were challenges which we needed to address. The party was divided as to whether we should address the challenges, perfect it and move on, or we should scrap the system. In the end, those who held the view that we should scrap it and prepare and come back later carried the day.
Were you one of them?
No, because it was my initiative to democratize as much as possible the presidential primaries. And I was happy about the outcome in spite of the challenges. And I thought that the challenges were things that were not unsurmountable. So if they gave us some more time, we could have addressed all those challenges so that in 2018, by now the system would have been perfected. But because we lost the 2016 elections, people tended to heap the blame of our losing the elections on the way we selected the candidates. And you know why? Because the delegate system provided opportunity for the delegates, those are the executives of the party at various levels, to earn something. So they were resisting the introduction. Okay, so eventually when we lost the election, and they were the people whom the Professor Botwe team went around to consult.
Yes.
So they just said that, oh, it's because of this that we lost the election. So they came very firm about it that we should scrap it. I didn't find the argument at that time very reasonable. But you know, when you have lost elections, anybody can put any blame on the cause of your losing. So I said, okay. So we scrapped it, and 12 years now, the whole nation is now compelling us to go back to do what I had introduced 12 years ago. If we had stayed on course, we would have perfected it now and taken advantage of its advantages. But it's not too late. It's something that...
It's 1 year though. The Supreme Court will give you 1 year to implement this. Is that enough?
Yeah, sure. We can do it.
1 year is enough?
We can do it.
Okay.
Because already we have our register. The most important thing in such elections is the register. If you get a correct register, then you are good to go. The rest is, it is costlier than the delegate system, because in terms of printing ballot papers, registers, and all that, you print more, you spend more on printing of ballot papers, because the delegate system, you would be printing about less than 400,000. But with this one man, one vote, you are in excess of 1 million to 2 million ballot papers. Again, 2014, we opened polling booths in every electoral area. Okay. And we had 6,000 plus electoral areas at that time. And so we opened the 6,000, and there are certain electoral areas that are made up of clusters of villages. In that case, too, you have more in the villages so that you don't ask people to travel. And so we ended up opening more than 8,000 polling stations. And Electoral Commission took the view that this was a private election whose costs must be borne exclusively by the party. So every polling station, the Electoral Commission recruited about 4 polling officials. And we had to pay them and pay all the cost of the materials, everything. So Electoral Commission didn't contribute 1 cedi. And so in the end, in those days, we spent close to 14 million.
In 2014?
2014. So This time it's going to be more. And so my expectation is that even though the system is good, since we are being compelled to help citizens exercise their civic and democratic rights, it sits very well if you ask the state to budget for this exercise so that Electoral Commission can conduct it free of charge. If that can be done, Electoral Commission can conduct it.
Because that will be your biggest cost line, the EC.
Yes, if they can conduct it free of charge, then it will help every political party. But again, I've heard people saying that to demand that Electoral Commission should conduct it free of charge will mean that everybody will get up and form a political party and call on the Electoral Commission to go and spend money. And that is why in NDC we have proposed the setting up of an office for the regulation of political parties.
It is actually in the government position paper on the constitution.
Precisely. So once if that is done, then you have a body that will focus exclusively on making sure that before you certify a group as a political party, it satisfies all the conditions for a political party. You need to organize that group in more than 2/3 of the districts in the country. And they must have offices and so on. So there will be just a few parties that will be certified. And then you can provide that facility to those parties that are certified. If that is done, it will improve our democracy a lot. So
yeah, well, what do you make of the fact that MPP has already finished their complete internal reorganization? So they will not be caught by this, but you will be caught by that.
Yes.
You don't have any issue with that?
No, we don't have any issue. They have the way of organizing their party. We have ours. And the Constitution frowns on retroactive legislation.
Yeah.
So the Supreme Court's ruling is a new legislation. So you cannot apply it retroactively to the MPP who have finished their presidential primaries. And in fact, the ruling itself says so.
Yeah.
So we don't have any problem because the wider the group, the better
the outcome, you believe?
The outcome, yes, because it will reflect more of the views of the constituency than just a few delegates.
There are a few challenges. First of all, you have to be a card-bearing member in good standing.
Sure.
So first you must have the data of all your card-bearing members.
Yes.
You must have then the register of all of them.
We do have all
You do have all of that.
That is what we use to conduct the branch elections.
Okay.
You know, in the branch elections, what we do is that all the members in a polling station area, they come together to elect 9 branch executives. And then the branch executives will proceed to elect the constituency executives, and it's on and on and on to national. And so now that we are not going to use only the 999 in the branches, what we do is that the data we use to elect the 999, we are now going to allow them to participate in the primaries. So it's not going to be difficult.
What about people who haven't heard this will now want to register to join a party? Is a path for that to happen?
Yeah, you know, in every election, there is a cutoff point for registration. That's why you see that in the national elections, there are times where you close the register so that you can get the data with which to plan and execute the elections. And so it is a decision that we have to take.
Okay.
One way of looking at it is that The register we have now was what we began these elections with. Mm-hmm. So if we consider these internal elections plus the primaries as the same electoral process, then we will use the existing register. If we consider the internal elections separately from the primaries, then we may have to open the register for some people to register before we get into the presidential and parliamentary primaries. But whatever happens, there will be a point where we will close the register so we can prepare.
Can I walk tomorrow to any party office and say I'm going to pick up a party card and pay my due?
Right now, because we are doing the internal elections, we have closed the register.
Okay.
And so, unless we finish. But when we finish, we will now have to take a decision whether we are using the same register for the presidential and parliamentary primaries, or we will open registration to allow those who were not up to the voting age as at the time we were closing the register, but have now attained that age maybe to put in their name. That is a decision that will be made by the parties.
And so you are confident, speaking as the national chairman, that the NDC will implement this prescription of the Supreme Court in a year?
We don't have an option. It
must be done.
It is the law.
Okay. So, because the MPP takes a complete different position, that this is not practical.
No, they are not caught by it. It's practical. We've done it before.
Forward, they believe it.
We've done it before. But people are confusing these current internal elections that are ongoing. But the ruling doesn't affect the internal elections. Truth be told, if they had directed that we should apply it to these internal elections, it is going to be very cumbersome. Because in the primaries, presidential and parliamentary, you have one position each. So several people are contesting. So when you are printing the ballot paper will be for one position, and then you list the various contestants on the ballot paper. Now, when you come to maybe the National Congress or constituency elections or regional elections, you may have as many as 28 or 30 positions. And each of the 28 or 30 is being contested by several people. So, if you want to apply the one man, one vote to that type of election, then you may have to do 28 separate elections. So if you are doing for constituency chairman or regional chairman or national chairman today, then your ballot paper will contain the names of the contestants for national chairman, and then you vote. Okay. But if you want to combine all of them and conduct the election in one day, either you have to get a ballot paper with 28 sections, each section containing as many contestants as have filed. You see, so the ballot paper will be maybe 12 feet long. The first one, chairmanship. Then you put all if there are 5 people contesting as chairman, you put A, B, C, D. Then you come to vice chairman. Then you list them. Vice chairman number 2, you list them. Vice chairman number 3, we have 5 vice chairmen. Then before you get to general secretary, then you list the number. After that, national organizer and all that. So if you want to put all of them on one ballot paper, it will be about more than a meter. Okay. So that one would have been difficult to implement. But when it comes to
parliamentary and
presidential, it's a straightforward matter. You have, like you do in the main general elections. You vote for presidential candidate and you vote for parliamentary candidate. So if you open the polling booth one day, the party member will go and then he will pick a ballot paper for presidential candidates and vote for a presidential candidate. Then after that, he comes to pick parliamentary paper and choose one of the parliamentary candidates.
You've actually raised a very important point. It's possible then that as a party decides on this, you now have the parliamentary primary and the presidential primary possibly on the same day.
Together. And that is what we have been doing for quite some time now. And I warned MPP that the way they were approaching their elections, if you vote and choose the presidential candidate first, by all means, during the campaigning for presidential candidate, you see some of your parliamentary candidates joining the campaign of a candidate who is different from the eventual winner. So when one person wins, then there will be a demand by his supporters to purge the party of all his opponents, the MPs who didn't campaign for him, other candidates who didn't campaign for him, and it will divide the party. I predicted this one before they did their top-down approach. When they announced it, I told them I think I spoke about it at UTV or so, and I warned them that the results of what they are doing will be an attempt to purge the party, which will lead into the party breaking up into factions.
You think that is happening with the MPP?
Precisely, that is what is happening now.
In what form? Because
the supporters of Kennedy, they are complaining that they are being sidelined. People are vowed to take them away from the party, the supporters of Alan Chairman, and all those things. So it's a natural thing. If you know about it, and when it begins, you can see where they are going. And then I told them about it. They never listened.
On this Supreme Court verdict...
That's why I've been lobbying to become the acting national chairman.
As for the
so that
MPP?
Yes.
Acting national chairman?
Yes, so I can...
He wants to be the acting national chairman of the MPP.
And then the national chairman of
the NDC. So you can govern both parties.
I can be advising them.
I see. Very fascinating points indeed. But on this Supreme Court verdict... One of Aseidu Nketiah's biggest attractions, your appeal, is your hold and affinity to the base of the party, the grassroots. They love you. It's also why when Aseidu Nketiah is contesting in any party elections, you do this, because anybody who challenges you, is simply digging his own grave, because the outcome is almost foregone. With this particular outcome of the Supreme Court verdict, doesn't that strip you of that appeal, that base that almost eats from your palm will no longer be there, because now it's open up to everybody else who is a cadre member?
But you are saying that the base, what do you mean by the base of the party? It is the grassroots. And the delegates are their representatives.
Okay.
So the bigger...
But you lose the delegates' call. The call that you've always ridden on to win, that call would now be diluted with a bigger number of possibly 2 million people.
Why? But in any case, what election are you contemplating? This is not going to affect chairmanship election. And I have not indicated whether I'll be contesting the presidential primaries or not. So what?
You have no intention of expanding
what election?
You have no intention of expanding this if it's good for the presidential. You have no intention of bringing it to the national election level.
I've already told you the complications.
Okay, if that happens.
If that happens, it will be a very complicated election. It cannot be simple.
So by yourself, you don't think that you could export that practice to that because of the impracticality of it?
In fact, the demand of those who went to court does not even affect, it's not in the area of how we NDC people choose our leaders.
Okay.
Because if we choose a national chairman, he's not a national chairman of other people who are not NDC members. So we decide how to choose our national chairman. If we are choosing our general secretary, it is the members of the party who decides the method. And we have decided through our constitution that this is the way we are going to do it. So a court would not want to compel us to do that, to do it differently. So the primaries is being you know, it's been challenged because, as I have said,
when you elect the person,
any person who emerges from the primaries is a potential statesman. Not if he becomes a president, he's a president for the whole country. So the whole country must be interested in how he begins the journey to become the president. If you elect a candidate, parliamentary candidate, he has a potential of becoming a member of parliament for the whole country. And so the whole country ought to be interested in how his election begins.
If this doesn't affect Aseidu Nketiah's grassroots appeal, is that a confirmation that you stand for re-election as chairman?
I'm saying that...
I'm asking an independent question now.
No, but let me tell you, your question itself is contradictory. Because you are saying that my grassroots appeal.
Yes.
So the closer I get, the election gets to the grassroots, the better it is for me. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I concede that. That is why I'm asking a follow-up question then. Because obviously this ruling won't affect internal party elections at the branch, regional, constituency, national. Only primaries, right?
Let me answer your question.
So I'm asking you, will Johnson Aseidu Nketiah stand for re-election as national chairman?
Any decision I take would have no relationship with the ruling at all. That's why I want you to separate your question from
I'm asking an independent question because we're talking about party organization for retention funds in 2028.
We have been through this thing with you several times.
No, this is
when I am responsible for conducting elections. I don't indicate my intentions until I'm done with branches, region, constituency, and regional. Because the moment you mention your intentions, then you weaken your credibility. If you go now to go and conduct the branch or constituency elections, people will accuse you that you are selecting constituency executive who eventually come and vote for you.
Because they'll be from the delegates that will vote for you.
So that is why, if you have watched me for over these 20 years that I've been in the leadership of the party, I'm about always the last person to declare my intention either for re-election or election to a different position or what, because it is dangerous for the party. We need to be able to maintain the confidence that is necessary for a leader to be able to conduct the internal elections.
So I guess then the only time we will know is when they open nominations for the national positions.
Yes.
National chairman.
And you'll be able to either know or guess what I'll be doing.
So if I'm guessing, General Mosquito, national chairman, has told us tonight that, well, you will know until nominations are open.
That time, yes.
But there are many people, your followers, who want to rest easy. They want to rest easy. They want to know and, just rest easy.
You see,
you don't want to give them an inkling.
One thing I hold dearly, which I am going to try to push, is that this nation needs a cut-off period for campaigning, starting of campaigning and closing of campaigning. I have been an election observer in several countries, including Europe and other places. And there was a particular country I visited, I think Denmark. They have 3 months for campaigns. Before the 3 months, you can't campaign. After 3 months, when the election results are declared, they give you 3 days to remove all your campaign billboards, posters from the city. If you don't do it, the city authorities will do it and they will surcharge the party. So if they have 4 years, then 3 years, 9 months is available for the government to govern. And then they just limit the campaign period for 3 months. So I mean, we have, if it is about national chairmanship, we have about 4 months to go. If it is about presidential primaries, we have more than 1 year to go. So why should anybody be worried about knowing what I'll be doing?
The last point on the internal elections, the party issued directives for, and I remember last time you were here, one of the key concerns you had was people in government, but also holding party positions. You wanted them to focus on one.
Sure. And
give your all. And so I see that then eventually culminates into a decision of the party to say, if you have intention to contest in the party, position, 6 months before the elections, resign.
Yeah.
What's the state? Because it's now 5 months to the elections, if you like, the national elections. We've passed that deadline mark, if you like. Has any of them come to resign?
So many of them who want to contest have resigned.
And
those who have not resigned have indicated that they are not interested in contesting.
And just to confirm that the youth deployment minister was on my show and said here that he has no intention of running again. So he will focus on his government position. He made it public, but in terms of resigning quietly from the past, have you seen any come to you, resignation letters?
Yes.
Okay. Who has resigned?
But they will not write to us to resign. Okay. Because they write to their employers. Okay. We are not their employers. So
those
if you want to resign, resign. The letters that will come to us will be resignation from your position
in the party.
But that is not the demand. The demand is that if you want to contest, resign from the government position. So the letters will not come to us.
But you're aware of if...
Yes, I'm aware of a couple of them who are...
Would you want to share a few who you are aware of?
Oh, I'm aware of the regional chairman for Eastern Region, for instance, Michael Kevo has resigned, and he's close to me, so he shared it with me even before resigning.
Okay. And because he wants to contest
his
position again,
he wants to maintain his position as a regional chairman
of the party. And let's talk a bit more now about the government. Now, if you finish reorganizing, you're organizing to retain power.
Sure.
But even if you have the best people, your performance will determine whether you win or not.
Yeah.
What's your verdict, a year and a half on into your administration, of the way your government, the government that you, of course, your party formed, is handling the affairs of state?
I'm happy about what we have been able to achieve so far. I'm praying that we should be able to maintain the pace or even improve upon what we have done, and it will not be difficult for us to retain the seat.
What pleases you the most? So you're happy. What pleases you?
The fundamentals in the economy, because the stabilization in the economy is the key prerequisite for you to achieve anything. If the economy is not stabilized the way we have tried to do, you can't do anything. So we've gotten control over the depreciation of the cedi. We've gotten control over inflation rate, and these two key parameters, and then our debt to GDP ratios, our recurrent expenditure versus total expenditure, and all the key indicators are pointing to the right direction. And those are the fundamentals which form the prerequisite for economic takeoff. Because if you want to invest to create jobs, okay, you need capital. The capital you go in for, the interest rate must be below a certain point for you to be able to invest and make profit. Now, the interest rate cannot be fixed arbitrarily. The interest rate is always related to the inflation rate. So once you have a low inflation rate, you are able to fix a lower bank rate and lending rate and all that. And then you can take money and invest and then make profit. And the more businesses make profit, the more they are able to expand and create jobs and so on. So that is the beginning point. That's why we are focusing on tackling the fundamentals. Then apart from that, there is the whole area of creating the enabling environment that includes provision of the right infrastructure. That is why we are focusing so much on the road construction and other, infrastructure projects that will create an environment.
So that's a big push
for environment. Yes.
But the accusation against your government and a man that you put your head on the chopping block for, and we'll talk about that, when you yourself recently had disclosed how you got him to become the minority leader. He's now the finance minister. The accusation against him is that you guys are not spending, and that's the only reason why the economy seemed to be stabilizing. And big push was 30 billion budgeted for this year. You spent 6 billion. That's a huge gap there, mid-year.
We haven't gotten to the end of the year. Mostly procurement takes some time, but without procurement, you can't spend. So if you are beginning projects that will cost a certain amount, the first quarter that you will be going through procurement processes, you shouldn't be spending, because there's no contract for you to spend on. And then once procurement is done, then performance will begin, certificates will be prepared, and then payment can follow. So I believe that even 6 billion is not too small. As work gets done, and we are getting to the end of the year, you will have certificates that you can honor. If it is about the money not being available, is another ball game altogether. But if it is about the money sitting there but spending it is the issue with our critics, they should know that we can spend 100 billion in 1 month, can't we? But you need to spend it appropriately. There must be value for money. You must pay for work done and all that. We are not giving money for advance payment, mobilization payments where people take the money and run away with. That's not what we are doing. Perform and we pay you. And so that shouldn't be a problem.
You're clearly happy with your performance. If you have to score yourself 1.5 years in out of 10, what would you give you?
I'm not in the business of scoring. I've never answered such questions.
Why?
With you. So don't continue asking the question that I'll never answer.
No, I'm curious why.
I say I'm happy we've done enough.
But you don't want to rate your performance?
Because I'm not a professional statistician, even though I know about statistics.
You're one of the first people to be licensed on the Ghana Stock Exchange. You're not a novice.
Yes.
And I must add, in this business of economics.
I haven't done the work. I must make a pronouncement based on an assessment that I've done with facts. So when I mention a specific figure, I know that when you add A, B, C, D, it takes you to that figure. But if I haven't done that, I shouldn't be guessing. But from a rule of thumb position, I can tell you that we are very satisfied with the work that.
Having stated that, are you concerned about the potential of complacency setting in? You have another election coming in 2020. It's far off. I mean, but as they say, 1.5 years is not far in politics at all. A lot of the government people I speak to, all of them are very confident that you're doing well. In fact, if you read the Afrobarometer survey that was recently done, your approval rating, the president's approval rating, of course, which is the result of what you're talking about, is in the 70s. It's the last one. Yeah. It's very, very good. 71% of Ghanaians approve of how President Mahama and NDC are governing the country. But the problem with this is, for 1.5 years, that's probably the highest you've had. aren't you concerned that this could feed complacency?
No, it depends on your attitude. And within government, the president is not giving room for any appointee to feel complacent. We want to push as hard as possible so that we end this term with a very impressive record. So that is what we are.
I asked that question because of the statement that was recently released by the NDC Council of Elders. And something they said, quote, "The council notes with concern the growing unease among sections of the party and the wider public regarding reports of premature presidential campaigns and related political activities by individuals and groups within the party." And they go on to talk about focusing on delivery.
Yes.
And why this is distracting from that objective. Isn't that what they were pointing at? That people are already taking their eyes off the big ball.
If they had kept quiet about that, that is what will work into complacency. But I'm happy that you yourself, you're admitting that when they saw some development like that, they spoke about it and then sought to correct what they thought was beginning. And so we are on course.
Do you share their concern? That, quote, council, they noting the concern, growing unease among party, wider public regarding premature presidential campaigns, related political activity.
There were rumors about certain ministers having problem with their colleague ministers and so on. I thought that was what. In fact, some of them was almost nearly played in the public domain.
One in particular, one that played out was the finance minister versus the agric minister.
That was why
back and forth exchanges. And people suggested that it was because of ambition.
That was why a responsible council of elders had to step in, and so you haven't heard about those things again.
So you think this killed it?
Sure.
I mean, in fact, there are those who also said, one of the people they were also pointing out was you, that because you were doing Thank You Tour as a ruse to put up your presidential campaign.
Those who said that thing were either ignorant about how a party is run, or they were simply being mischievous. If I was campaigning, at the end of every campaign, what happens? Elections. Since I finished 3 months ago, have they brought the ballot paper for us to cast the votes? It is work that ought to be done, and I'll continue doing it. In fact, my duty as a party chairman, who is not directly running a ministry, is to make sure that I govern the party and rein party members in to support the government to perform. So anywhere I feel there is a need to reach out to party members and then deliver the right messages, I'll not be listening to those who are making that noise at all. I'll do my work, because if that work never gets done, I am the first to be blamed. If work in any ministry is not done well, it is the minister you hold responsible. So if I sit there as national chairman and I hear that party people are disgruntled about ABC appointments, recruitment slots and the other things, and people were even trying to organize demonstrations against our own government, I sit there to fold my hands. I'll be a stupid chairman. So I thought that I should go down there and quench the fires. And so far I'm happy that once I went around, all the fires were quenched.
So you're saying categorically on the show that your Thank You Tour was not to campaign and to project Aseidu Nketiah as a likely presidential candidate for 2028?
If I want to project myself, it will not be through a Thank You Tour. Because did you hear me saying anything about myself? everything I said was streamed live. Did you hear me making a sentence about myself and what I intended to do? No. So those who are worried may think that, oh, the more he goes around, the more people see and know him. But ask yourself, who in this party is better known than Aseidu Nketiah? So what is the need to go and show yourself for people to see that you are Aseidu Nketiah? Who doesn't know me? Everybody knows me. So if it is about myself, I wouldn't have wasted my time and effort and money to go and do that, because everybody knows me. So what would have been new was for me to go and tell them, I'm coming to do this and these are the reasons I will be doing it. But did you hear me say anything about that? I rather advise party members that there is this challenge, there is that challenge, you are not getting this one because of this, so exercise patience, let's do this way. It is not possible for everybody to get appointment. It's not everybody to get recruitment into the security services and all that. And I'm happy that they listened to me. And again, during the elections, you saw me campaigning specifically to get MPs elected. And I went to the grassroots, zonal centers, I never went to district centers or regional centers. I went to the villages and asked them to vote for us and promised them that after the voting, I'll come and thank them. And so if you listen to the people who were testifying, we're very happy that you have this politician who promised to come and thank us after the voting. We voted for him, and today he's here to thank us. Didn't you hear that everywhere we went, the chiefs, opinion leaders, assemblymen, they were all happy that NDC is a trustworthy party. When they promise something, they deliver. And that's all about this campaign.
I mean, there were some who said what you just talked about is the president's responsibility and not yours. In fact, some said you were even competing with the president. There's a famous case on May 22nd, 2026, when the president, in the northern region, where Haruna Drusu said, quote, I recall when the president came for this thank you tour, not the other thank you tour, a proper thank you tour of President Mahama as presidential flag bearer. What cannot be said, we can say it. A proper thank you tour, not the curtain raiser thank you tour. And many thought he was referring to yours.
I don't know about that, but even if he was referring to me, it means he got everything wrong on that occasion. And if, as a party chairman, if one of your MPs gets something wrong, you then just get out there fighting and chanting and insulting back and so on. No.
But do you hear this?
Oh,
do you see the clip?
I heard it, but I wasn't worried at all. Maybe his opinion was coinciding with those who thought that I was going around to campaign, and those who thought that it is what I was doing was no proper thank you to. You go and thank the people you campaign with, okay? The president campaigned in regional capitals and constituency capitals. I never campaigned in regional capitals and constituency capitals. So the area where the president went for his thank you tour will necessarily be different from where I will go for my thank you tour. So if somebody thinks that one is proper and one is improper, I mean, maybe it's not abreast with the facts. That's all.
Did you at least try to explain to him? I mean...
No, it wasn't necessary.
It wasn't necessary?
No, it wasn't necessary.
You were misunderstood?
Yes.
Basically.
And I'm always misunderstood, so it is not a new thing for me.
But that can damage a brand. I mean, because for it to be pictured to say you are competing with the president, that can damage a brand.
How can it damage?
That is, if you leave that perception to settle.
After that one, did you have the feeling that I have been damaged in any way? So why, if I know that you pass a comment and it will not affect me in any way, why do I have always said that your opinion about me having done something wrong, not criminality, If you share a different opinion about how I'm doing certain things, you are free to express it. If you think that what I'm saying doesn't make sense, you are free to express it. I will not be annoyed with you. It is only where you accuse me of criminality that I will respond. But otherwise, I mean, if I make a statement and, oh, General Mosquito has made a stupid statement, it's your opinion. So the fact that you have said it doesn't mean that that is what it is. I'm worried about majority, the view of the majority about what I'm doing, and not individuals who may be disagreeing with me.
I think linked to that is the question that I always ask you, and I must ask again because of everything that's happened since last June when we spoke. I think all this was happening is because of the perception that somehow Aseidu Nketiah is harboring a presidential ambition. Do you want to be president?
Ambition is a very, very useful thing in politics. If you are a politician and you have no... Ambition is a very, very useful thing in politics. If you are a politician and you have no ambition, you are in the wrong profession. You understand? How you exercise that ambition is a challenge. And I have told you how I exercise my ambition. I don't go out there declaring my ambition at any time. I declare it when the time is up for me to declare it.
So when the time is up, you declare want to be president?
Because how do you hide pregnancy? If you hide your intention to contest for a position, how do you campaign? So if I intend to contest for a position, when the time comes, I'll let everybody know about it. You see, even to me, when he was in court, he was still campaigning that he wanted to be the national chairman of the party. And I'm so disappointed that he didn't get the opportunity to become the national chairman of the party.
So ambition is like pregnancy, you're saying. Eventually,
yes,
you give birth.
Yes.
So you're telling us we should just wait?
Yes, wait till the time. You will know whether I have ambition or I don't have ambition.
Do you have ambition to be president?
Is the time up? That is the question I'm asking you. Wait till my time is up, and then I will let you know, because you cannot hide your ambition and expect people to vote for you for whatever position you want to go into. So when the time is up for people to declare their intentions to do A, B, or C, you will know. Sitting here, I can choose to become the next national organizer of NDC. There is no law that bars me. I can choose to become a general secretary again and contest with my brother, very good friend. I can decide to remain the national chairman, and I can decide to contest and go back to parliament. I can decide to be the presidential candidate. And so all these are options that are open. So don't worry about that one at all.
You know, listening to you, many was listening to you on the back of everything that's happened since June when we spoke, everything we talked about. You see, the fact that he's not being categorical means he has ambition to be president. He must have ambition.
There will be nothing wrong with that.
If you did.
You need to keep people guessing. Guessing is also part of the game.
Nketiah says, keep guessing.
Keep guessing.
Keep guessing. But I note that you are not ruling it out.
No. I have never ruled any position out in my life. Okay. I'm not ruling any position out.
I mean, this obviously had come up again.
I don't know how much time we have, because you advertise.
Oh no, we're going to go there. I mean, when I have you, I have so many things to talk about. Okay. So we'll go into the other big things. We'll talk about the other things definitely. One final thing that you did, I think this year or last year, that when I watched it, I found this was fascinating, but it's also refreshing, because knowing you don't care, you speak the truth, you speak the facts, and you move on with your life. I believe you were in the northern region, and you give us an insight into one of the biggest decisions political watcher I've observed, which is the decision
the reshuffle.
The reshuffle. That never happened in our political history when a party is in opposition did that. But you explained that, the background to what the decision was. And many watched you. I watched you thinking, okay, I understand you now, but the individuals involved may not have taken lightly to hearing you speak like that the way you did. Do you regret?
It doesn't change the truth, whether some people accept it or not accept it. The truth remains the truth. And as I've said, what do you call it? Rules described by whatever adjectives will still smell sweet. So me, I always want to stay on the side of truth. Once I say something and it is true, whether you accept it or not accept it, that is it. I'm okay with that. I sleep and sleep well.
But must you talk about it publicly? You know, people were hurt with that. So when you talk about
I don't think that anybody ought to be hurt. I didn't think that it was reasonable for anybody to be hurt. If you listen to my statement, it wasn't reasonable. And I believe that those who originally might have felt hurt, when they listen to the full statement, they will realize that it was much ado about nothing.
It's Haruna and Muntaka still close buddies of yours?
Very close. We work together. And in fact, that was the impression I sought to convey in Tamale when I said that those who are dividing and fighting among themselves here, they should stop doing that, because I'm cool with my junior brother Haruna and Muntaka, and we are moving together in Accra. That was the import of the statement. So why should that statement hurt anybody?
Is that true, though?
Yes.
Or you're just saying it for
I can show you my phone, and you realize that even yesterday I had a conversation with Honorable Haruna. As for Muntaka, any day we talk.
Let's talk about something that...
Because I don't think that reshuffle should be a crime. Should it?
Except that when you did it, it had never happened before.
Oh, so it means it will never happen.
Well, you were the first to do it.
Have I come here for interview with you wearing blue and me wearing this? This is the first time. Yes. So that is not,
there must be a first time for something.
There must be a first time for something, everything. Yes.
Yeah. But that showed the kind of character you are. If you believe it's the right thing.
If I believe that this is the right way of achieving my results, I'll go for it, even though heavens fall.
Did you spend some time having done that to try and make up? I mean, in the interim, you know, people were a bit agitated. I'm saying that because the night before you did it, Haruna was on my show. We were doing an interview. And then the next morning I wake up and he's no longer the man I was speaking to, because I was speaking to him then the night before. I said,
my brother Muntaka was even more hurt.
Yes, he said it was a coup.
But, you know, and I also am a psychologist. So if I take a decision and I know it will pain you, your initial reactions don't hurt me at all. I know that even as a doctor, if I have to cut you open, it will be paining you. So I should not be worried about the pains and your reaction to the pain. If I know that that cut is necessary to heal you, I'm cool with it, whatever you do. So later, today when we meet with Muntaka, we joke about it and then get over. In fact, when he was appointed Interior Minister, and I congratulated him, I indicated that now you have power to arrest me.
That's a good one.
So I beg you, don't arrest me. And then he said, before you get to Nsawam, I would have received my announcement that I'm no longer there.
Yes.
And we laughed over it.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Let's talk about something that you're passionate about, local government.
Yes.
There's a major reform afoot on the back of the Constitutional Review Committee's work. The party's a government position on that is very clear. Yes, elect MMDCs, but the president must select 5. Do a vetting and have 3 go to the polls. I'm assuming that you had a role in that, framing that position.
Yes.
Explain to me why you chose that model.
You see, in every political endeavor, you have moderates and you have people who want to go from one extreme to the other extreme. On this occasion, within government, the moderates won.
Okay.
But our position as expressed is more of government indicating that this is what we believe in. We are not going to force it on the necks of anybody, because there will be opportunity for our position and even the report itself to be debated openly in Parliament. And Parliament will not be bound in adopting our position. So once it is good for everybody to know that this is what we think about it. But we are open. It can be debated, because sitting in the cabinet, we may not know all the implications of whatever decision we take. But when you bring it to the wider Ghanaian community, the debate will go on. Some of the things we have agreed on will be accepted. Some may be rejected. And we will be cool about it if it represents what the nation wants. And so the reason I'm saying that it is a middle way is that there are people who think that we should not open up the DC position for any contest at all. It is dangerous. It can lead to national disintegration. It can lead to a situation where DC is in an opposition area if government doesn't have any control over them. You can't predict what they will be doing and all that. There are people who have genuine fears about that. And there are others who think that, look, allow everybody to file, let the people choose. You see, the other extreme. And so the middle line we have adopted is like, yes, the people will have opportunity to choose, so that we will scrap the electoral college that confirms the DCE, but then we give the people a choice among 3 or so people, so that when there is a voting and one emerges, it becomes the DCE. It will come with its own implementing challenges. Okay, so when we are debating it in Parliament, all the implementing challenges will emerge. For instance, if it is the government is going to, or the president is going to nominate, and then there is a suggestion for us to also remove the term limits for the DC, the 2 term limits. Okay, so if you remove it, and a DC does 2 terms, and the president who nominated him is no longer there, a new president comes, the DC has the opportunity to go again. The people want him. Would the president be forced to include him in the nominees and so on? These are all implementing challenges that in the course of the debate will...
In 2019, when this nearly went to the referendum, the NDC's position was clear, a pure election by the public, which is that no party, non-partisan, open it up. Yes. If I want to run, I go, and the people vote for me.
Exactly.
But this is different from that position.
It's not,
because now the president, who is a political head, of the party, and then elected as a president by the people, is deciding who the voters should.
Still in the non-partisan manner, because it was never said that
the people you appoint. will be partisan people.
But the president appoints judges. Are judges partisan? So they say he should appoint local people for the district to take a decision on. It is not every president appointees who necessarily must be a party person.
But you know,
I know that even the suggestions that will go onto the president's table for consideration may be tainted with politics. But
Mr. Aseidu, why didn't you simply stick to your 2019 position?
It is the same 2019 position.
It is not.
It is,
the
because
2019 position had no presidential involvement in the process.
No. 2019 position, the debate was as to whether it should be held on a partisan
or non-partisan.
Yes. How candidates get selected to that point was not an
If I recall correctly, that wasn't an issue.
Yes.
But at that time, everybody accepted that what it meant was it would be opened up for everybody to put themselves up for consideration by the election.
No. It had been in our manifesto long time. This suggestion from Atamel's time, this suggestion of the president putting forward some nominees for the people to make a choice. It has been.
But in 2019, it wasn't part of the conversation.
Because the debate was about whether it should be it should be partisan or non-partisan. So the focus was on whether it should be partisan or non-partisan.
But eventually, ultimately, you can see that this model introduces partisanship in the process of elections from MNDC.
It does not, because the current situation you have where the president nominates one person, we are saying it's not partisan. How come if the president nominates three, then because he moves from one nominee to three nominees, then that by itself make it partisan? Can you explain to me why you think that the president moving from one nominee to three nominees necessarily change the whole thing to be partisan?
Once it's the president who's nominating, obviously.
But the one nominee the president has been nominating
is partisan too.
It's not partisan. That is why chiefs can be nominated as DCEs, but they cannot be nominated as they cannot contest.
Because this goes to referendum, you immediately see your opponents objecting to this. Because obviously, if this is passed,
when the debate comes, we will get the best out of the discussions, because I believe that sparks of truth emanate from clashes of opinion. Let them bring their opinions, we will bring ours. Let's debate and let the nation make a choice.
Another big part of the democratic dispensation that we talked about in June was, at the time you believe the resetting the judiciary itself must be reset. At the time. It was after that we saw that Tokonu, obviously, then through the process of the constitutional process, was then removed. Almost a year on, do you think that the judiciary is adequately reset now?
I don't know whether to add adequately, but it is clear that there has been some resetting within the judiciary.
Happy with it?
Very happy with it.
In which specific aspects makes you happy?
I mean, the removal of the Chief Justice, for instance, whose work everybody has reason to complain about. So I was very happy, and the charges that were preferred were solid charges, and so I was happy about it. And the fact that some more justices have joined the Supreme Court. People who, it is clear, were sidelined for whatever reason for several years, and they were marking time when new people jumped over them. That correction has also been made, and I'm happy about it.
Okay. This year, an opportunity again comes up for another CJ because Bafoboni's term expires in November, and the president will have to make another decision to go. You believe, how critical is this juncture in getting the right person to continue this, if you like, the reforms that you were talking about, to getting it right, whoever the next
I think that is. So far, we don't have any reason to complain that any of the Supreme Court judges have conducted themselves in ways that are not complementary. So anybody who emerges as a Chief Justice,
you're okay with?
I will be okay with it.
Linked to that, I remember again in June, and this is all follow-ups on the June conversation, one of the biggest things you said here linked to the resetting was that you believe the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and her deputies must all go.
Yeah.
Subsequent to that, a year on, petitions were submitted. They were put through the process. The Chief Justice says there was no prima facie against them. Subsequent to that verdict, one of them has resigned, another has retired, but Jean remains. And you were clear the last time that she must go. What happens now?
Resetting has taken place.
So you're happy with Jean now? You no longer want to?
No, when you go for anything, you don't expect to get everything 100%. At least you have seen that if there are 3 people who were taking decisions and two are gone, I'm sure that she may find it difficult to do whatever they were doing together. So either she may wish to go out herself, or even if she's there, I believe she's been neutralized.
Okay. You believe that now, so you're okay working with her as a political party?
We don't have an option. If the Supreme Court says she should stay, whom am I?
Okay. I mean, last year you were clear that your only option was to get her gone.
No, I was clear that my option was to get her gone even before last year, before the election.
True, before the election, you're right.
She remained and we won the election. So even if I wish her gone and she's still there, it means that we will have to work harder than if she were not there. And we can still win our elections.
Another big matter that has happened recently, there are 3 cases now before the Supreme Court, asking the Supreme Court to interpret an article in the Constitution that may give an opportunity to John Mahama to go for a 3rd term. 3 of them. If it was one, you would dismiss it, but there are 3 cases before them. The lawyers who know some of the lawyers behind the case said you can't dismiss the quality of the lawyers behind them. There are a lot of senior members of your party who have publicly made their position on this matter very clear. Very recently, a very good friend of yours, the Deputy General Secretary, was on air and was asked a question when the president said, well, listen, I have read that provision several times, and for him it's clear, but it's up to the Supreme Court. Mr. Monday said to us, the president didn't make himself, the party made him, quote, so the party is not going to allow him to say he can't run if indeed the Supreme Court goes ahead to say that. Where do you stand as chairman of the party on this subject?
I didn't hear that. The party is not going to allow him to say he can't.
So the party is not going to allow him to say he can't. Because the president has said that...
So the party is going to demand specific performance from somebody who doesn't want to run. Is that what Mustafa?
Yeah, that's Mustafa Gbande's point that, the president...
I'm not sure the party has power to take any such position. Okay. Because if a position comes up for contest, the party doesn't push any candidate. The party simply opens nomination for people to contest. So if you choose to contest, it's your business. If you choose not to contest, it's your business. So I'm not sure the party has any capacity to compel anybody to run or not to run. Okay, so that's aside. But you see, I've always said that I have a problem with the way the debate about third term or not, or not a third term is going.
Okay.
Because you don't focus on one individual in making a law. If you do that, you make a mistake. You see, the underlying principle is about whether the nation should remove term limits or to hold on to our constitutional term limits for presidents. It's not about President Mahama. So I get offended when people narrow it down to an extent that when anybody says he's for third term, he likes John Mahama. When he's against third term, he doesn't like John Mahama. We are being too simplistic. Why? Previously, we didn't have presidential term limits. This was introduced as a means of ensuring that we can institute power alternation in the country. Before this constitution, there had never been a peaceful transfer of power from one party to a party in opposition. True or false?
Yeah.
And so at the Consultative Assembly, we sat down and tried to find out what it is that we can introduce that will help us to alternate power the way the mature democracies have been alternating power. And one of the tools we settled on was presidential term limits. And that was the reason why, because as at the time President Rawlings was exiting, he was still about the most popular person in the country. If there were no term limits, President Rawlings wouldn't have exited at the time he exited. Arguably, the time President Kufuor was exiting, he was equally popular.
Very.
And if MPP had fielded President Kufuor against Atta Mills, the chances were that Kufuor would have won and remained. So, but because there was a constitutional term limit, it meant that we forced the first transition, we forced the second transition, we forced the third transition. And so the question that is facing the nation is that, our democracy matured enough now that if we remove these guardrails, will the whole thing collapse, or we can still, we have matured to a point that we can still, our democracy can still move on. So it is a bigger subject for discussion, bigger than whether President Mahama or no President Mahama, third term or fourth term or anything. And if you are going to think about removing the term limits, how different are people going to see us from the people of Guinea, who had a president who just removed the term limits and rigged the election, remain in power only to be booted out by the military? Are we going to face that risk? So I see where we are like, what do you call it? You know, before you erect concrete beams or concrete floor, you do some woodwork and then pour the concrete on it like liquid. It has to set and get hardened before you remove the woodwork.
Yeah.
So if you remove the woodwork prematurely, the whole thing collapses. If the woodwork remains there, and even without removing it, you build on it, there will be a time the woodwork will rot away and the concrete will remain. So if you are not careful, you go to remove the woodwork, and the whole building collapses, we are back to the pre-1992 situation. Okay, so the discussion should be weightier than whether President Mahama or no President Mahama for third term. Again, how are you going to say that President Mahama, you are going to compel President Mahama to do a third term when he has declared that he doesn't want to do it? And I was talking about some prophecy by somebody who was just saying that, if Aseidu Nketiah decides to contest, he will win by 54%. But his only risk is that if he involves himself in the debate about President Mahama's third term, then he will risk the anger of President Mahama, who will then go and support another person to defeat him. Then I said, wow.
And this was said in the church?
Yes.
Yep.
When I heard it, I said, well, I don't know so much about prophecies and how they come about, but at least I can ask questions.
What were your questions?
Number one, I haven't declared to anybody that I'm contesting in the election. So the spirit must be very smart.
God knows the future, you know.
To know what I am about to do, know the results, and then on what basis is the spirit going to determine that all the 34 million people can engage in a debate about third term or no third term, but only Aseidu Nketiah cannot talk about third term or no third term? Then again, President Mahama has come out to declare openly more than several times that he's not interested in third term. So if any spirit is saying that if I participate in that debate, he will be annoyed with me, it means that I'm offending him if I join his publicly declared position that he's not contesting. If I join it, he will be annoyed with me. What are you implying? Are you implying that President Mahama has a secret, private position which he is pushing, and then pushing a different narrative publicly, such that if you join the public one, then he will be annoyed with you and then use the secret.
There are some who believe that what he said was public, but privately he may be.
No. President Mahama is not Dr. Bawumia. I said it here, that the key difference between President Mahama and Dr. Bawumia is that President Mahama is credible. When he says yes, he means yes. When he says no, he means no. So for anybody to suggest that President Mahama is saying something publicly yes and doing something underground no, is trying to project President Mahama as somebody who is not trustworthy, who is out to deceive Ghanaians. And I don't think he deserves to be treated like that. You understand? So I believe that it could be an orchestration from somewhere.
Where?
Because we've been there before. I don't know how old you were when President Rawlings was approaching 2000.
I covered that election. So.
The whole, very well. You remember the whole country was say, Akuntabesi farm.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes.
Because of that Akuntabesi fund, they put President Rawlings so much under pressure that whenever he sought to imply that he will hand over to anybody who won, people didn't believe.
Yeah.
And they were saying that no, this soldier man, he won't hand over. Even if he loses, he won't hand over. So the campaign deviated from policy to whether he will hand over or not hand over. So he was forced to declare in Aseidu that if his vice president is contesting, he will support him, just to settle the debate that he will not contest. Then that turned into a different thing.
Pseudo declaration. And
then they say pseudo declaration.
Split the party.
So the spin then started. And there was an implosion in our party. And the party split and we lost the election.
You think something similar is happening now?
I think those who are pushing this type of narrative, they want to tempt President Mahama to make some declaration in order to convince people that he's not coming, which may end up, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. So the same thing that President Rawlings was subjected to, they knew he was hugely popular and all that. President Mahama too is hugely popular now. So, and if you hear the narrative of MPP now, they are not discussing policy. They are trying to use this third term as a tool for mobilization of their base. So every debate that they engage in, they add President Mahama's third term. He's jailing this, he's jailing that because he wants to do a third term. He's doing this thing, he's doing that thing because he wants to do a third term. Can't we see it?
Are you suggesting that the MPPs behind this third term agenda push the narrative?
I'm very, very sure. Very, very sure about that. Why? Because Wontumi is arrested for crimes that he has committed. How come in the talking about Wontumi's arrest, you are implying that President Mahama wants to arrest all the outspoken people so that when he declares third term, nobody can challenge. So they are looking for some tool for mobilization. So that's why, a drowning man will hang onto any straw. They are now trying to use the conviction of Wontumi, which they themselves know is on solid legal grounds with abundant evidence. But nevertheless, they want to use the jailing of Wontumi as a tool for mobilization. The same way they want to get a tool out of this third term and use it to mobilize their base.
The party is hitting the streets on Thursday. They say it's selective justice.
Now I've been saying that is the worst thing any leadership of any political party can subject its party to. It's good for us.
How?
It's painting them as people who are responsible for Galamsey, and because Wontumi must have used the resources to finance MPP, they feel obliged to defend him even when there is evidence that he has done the wrong thing. That is what is happening. Didn't you hear Party Hienska? You heard it. That was when the Galamsey was at its height. Party Hienska, that was it. So they feel that Wontumi having done the wrong thing and shared the money to finance the party, it is their obligation to defend him, whether the public says he has done right or wrong. And those who have followed this case started somewhere in 2013. All right? When President Mahama put together the ministerial
Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining.
Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining. So somewhere in May and June 4th, they raided Wontumi's Galamsey site in this Tano Nimre forest. And that falls under, I think, Victor Mesu. Victor Mesu was the DCE for Asankragwa. He invited that task force to go and invade Wontumi's place. In fact, when he got the pictures taken about how Wontumi was devastating the forest and polluting Tando River, he brought the pictures. He came to show me those pictures as the General Secretary at that time. And then he invited the task force to go in there. They went, invaded Wuntumi's site, burnt the structures, demolished everything there, and then, drove away. He was having more than 100 foreign nationals there and was trying to build a facility to even fabricate and assemble equipment for the Galamsey. So all these things were vandalized. So he waited till NDC lost election in 2016 and he went to court, claiming that the state had vandalized his property and he was claiming $43 million. Then the case proceeded and the judgment was delivered somewhere in 2019 when Nana Akufo-Addo was in power. A judgment was delivered in Secondary High Court. I have all the case.
You seem to have really followed this.
I have the details. I have followed it because when Mesun brought the pictures, he showed them to me as a general secretary at that time.
But this latest trial that convicted him was based on a 9-month operation.
You wait. So that case was judged. It is because it was a civil case filed by Wontumi to take money by way of judgment debt from the government. And it failed. You know some of his claims. He said that he had legal license to mine. And so it was wrong for that task force to vandalize his operations. Number two, as at the time the operation took place, he had 50 kilograms of pure gold, which was taken away. And that he had about $7 million or so, which was also taken away. Made some claims. Then, when the matter went to court, the court concluded that based on the evidence, the pictures, the drone pictures and other things, it was clear he was doing mining using a prospecting license. So he didn't have the license to mine. So he was doing illegal mining. It's in the verdict. Number two, he couldn't prove the existence of the 50 kilograms of gold and the other thing because I'm not a lawyer, but the court said that he needed certain strict proof about the source and all that. And he claimed that it was gold he had mined and was preparing to sell and so on and so on. So his own statements implicated him because one, if you are doing prospecting, you are not mining gold. How come you got 50 kilograms of gold ready for sale?
Yeah. In the interest of time, your conclusion is that there was enough basis to convict him.
So the civil case ended with the conclusion that Wontumi was engaged in illegal mining. He was misusing prospecting license to do full-scale mining, and that the vandalization that took place was justified because it was government which was trying to clamp down on illegal mining. So, but because it's a civil case filed by Wontumi, it means that the court couldn't have convicted him on any criminality. And so, after the judgment, the government at that time could have proceeded to arrest and prosecute Wontumi. But what we saw was for the sitting president to now come and declare to the public that Wontumi was not engaged in any illegal mining. And so it was the government slipping over something that could have been done. He could have been convicted during Nana Addo's time. And the minister for,
natural resources. Land
mines at that time. He said it. Frimpong Boateng also said it.
Yeah.
You see, so all this evidence was on earth during the time MPP was in power. So now, if Naimos had gone to the same place, and when you listen to him, he was saying that